for all you Filipino listeners out there, I've become a true Filipino once again in my life because I'm a half Filipino. I'm only half Filipino by tradition, but I was always jealous of my grandpa and grandma because they had the fridge in the garage.
Oh yeah, the
like
garage fridge.
Every Filipino.
Yeah, Bulgarians too.
My aunt has it. I think
Smells a little funny.
I think it's like an immigrant thing maybe.
Yeah.
But I never did growing up. We never did.
Oh, okay.
But guess what your boy got over the break?
Oh, you got the outdoor fridge?
We got the outdoor fridge.
New year, new us, Jacques.
Yeah. Fresh pod?
2025. You just came back from a little...
Oh yeah, I'm relaxed right now. I just came back from some hot springs out on the Hukumba.
Yeah.
I almost said it wrong for some reason, but fantastic. 10 out of 10. Recommend anyone in San Diego, go check it out.
Here's how I know you're a tricky beast to understand.
I am.
You know,
I don't understand myself.
right.
And I'm an observer by nature, and I've observed you for a while now, and I've observed
A couple tendencies, and there's one that shouts out above all the others. If you drop a curse word, like even if it's censored, and if you do it unprompted, like I haven't talked to you recently,
Yeah.
you know, he sends me a message over the weekend. He goes, "This place is blah 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 blah." I go,
curse.
He's never had a better time in his life because you never do that. You know what I mean? And
No,
so
it was very well done. I'm very happy.
glad
I'm very
you-
relaxed. I'm recharged, ready to garden.
I can see it in the face.
Out there,
Yeah.
I'm soaked.
I was actually going
Minerals.
to say the skin is
Oh.
looking better.
The skin feels better.
Yeah. On my side, I got less than 4 hours of sleep tonight.
Okay. Well,
So
yeah.
we're all having
Gotta
our
hit
own,
the springs.
our own struggles. I got to go to the springs. Anyways, welcome back to the Beet podcast, my friends. If you're watching it on YouTube, hello. If you're listening to it, hello, but also in your ears. But if you want to see our beautiful faces, you can go to the YouTube channel, check it out.
The fresh skin.
It's New Year, and there's a lot to do.
Oh yeah.
It's
you can
like
already feel it.
the gardener's call. You know, as soon as 1/1 rings, honestly, we see like our seed sales go up. But then
Yeah.
also, I feel like gardeners around the world, even if you're in zone 3, you're like, what am I going to do this year?
Yeah, you're
You
like
know?
mentally crossing over
Yeah.
into spring. You're not
Yeah.
there yet, but it feels like it's time to at least plan.
You want to hear the crazy thing for me?
Yeah, I do.
Every time I see 1/1 show up, I go, oh, it's spring. In my head. In my head, I go, it's
Yeah.
spring.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, before I gardened, I thought spring was January, February, March, April, May, June. You know, like
That's the San Diego spring.
the 3 quarters.
Yeah.
But I mean, that being said, it's hot right now here in San
It
Diego. There's actually a lot going on in the garden, at least on this side. I've got more beets than I know what to do with. We've got the flower patch. We've got the broccoli. Some of the biggest broccoli I've ever grown in my life.
It's the biggest broccoli I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like I think it's
Yeah.
like 5-pound heads, which
Crazy.
honestly at this point the garden starts to actually pay you back. Like when you start
yeah.
growing harvests like this,
Yeah.
you're actually in the net positive in terms of how much you spend on the garden, how much you get back, and you can't even get this at the grocery store because
No.
it's organic and it's extra delicious.
And you know what I just thought of? Because this is the time here in San Diego to be growing all those brassicas. And so you grow them and then you go like, okay, well, yeah, that's a lot of broccoli, right? But then I go soups because it's
Yeah.
also the perfect soup season. And you know what I used to love? Soup Plantation. Remember that
Okay.
restaurant?
Yeah. Of course I do.
Soup Plantation.
So
it
good.
blew my mind when I think I was 22 and I realized they don't serve any meat there almost at all.
Yeah, I don't think I ever realized that either until I was older.
Yeah, I was like,
it's like
wait.
vegetarian-esque.
There was a guy I went to school with all the way from elementary through college. He loved Soup Plantation so much at UC Santa Barbara that he would drive 50 minutes to the nearest one just by himself for dinner and then just drive home.
Trying to get that broccoli cheddar soup.
That's what I was going, is broccoli cheddar soup. So I'm probably going to have to make some of that. What do you got going on in the garden?
Right now, I am in the depths of harvesting lots of brassicas. I have
Yeah.
3 cauliflowers in the fridge, but I already have a new plan for them. Cauliflower, I will say, much more versatile than broccoli. Broccoli, I feel like every time I lick it up, you bake it, maybe you stir fry it,
Char
or
it.
you blend it in a soup. Yeah, it's basically charred or soup is my take on it. And then cauliflower, you can do all sorts of different things with it, even pickling. And that is where I'm going with my cauliflower this
Oh.
year. Because if you've ever had the cauliflower, the carrots, the onions, and
Yes.
just a simple pickle,
Yes, it's so good.
delicious every time. Broccoli, I don't think that pickles well. I think it gets too
No.
mushy and weird.
I think it suffers from, I guess, the stem being a bit more thick and fibrous. So
Yeah,
so in the
not
pickle,
as crisp.
it's not as nice. But what I will say is the cauliflower this year, cheddar cauliflower,
Oh, yeah.
I have some whites, but I also have by far the best crop of purple cauliflower I've ever seen.
I saw them. They look beautiful.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're smaller than normal, but it's okay with me. And actually, it brings up a couple things. So first of all, for all you Filipino listeners out there, I've become a true Filipino once again in my life because I'm a half Filipino, as you may know. And so I'm only half Filipino by tradition as well, right? I grew up with a Filipino dad and a white mom. And my Filipino side is more in San Diego, so I grew up more with them than my other side. But I was always jealous of my grandpa and grandma because they had the fridge in the garage.
Oh, yeah, the
like
garage fridge.
Every Filipino.
Yeah, Bulgarians too.
My aunt has it. I think
Smells a little funny.
I think it's like an immigrant thing maybe.
Yeah.
But I never did growing up. We never did.
Oh, okay.
But guess what your boy got over the break?
Oh, you got the outdoor fridge?
We got the outdoor fridge. And I put my
That's
purple
beautiful.
cauliflower in. I put my beets I harvested yesterday. I put some of my broccoli. The side shoots of the broccoli I harvested are last year's actual main head size.
Right.
It's crazy how big they are.
No, they're really big. Honestly, my hot take, broccoli side shoots are better than the main head any day of the week.
Really?
I think that they are more tender.
Tender?
They're easier to cook
Yeah.
because you don't have like this huge head stuck together. You have individuals. And they tend to be easier to clean if you ever do get aphids, for example.
Yeah.
So like
That's fair.
I'm all about the side shoots. I think a lot of people waste the opportunity by removing the plant.
Mm-hmm.
It's something we try to talk about all the time, but broccoli will just keep going until you pull the plant or
Yes.
it gets too hot, essentially.
It'll keep trying to make random little side shoots. Because basically, if you think about it from the plant's perspective,
Mm-hmm.
you take off the big main head. What you're eating of a broccoli is unopened hundreds of flowers.
Yeah, it's like you
thousands
just
of flowers.
deadheaded it.
Yeah, you basically deadheaded. Yeah, you deadheaded the broccoli, and so it goes. Great, there goes my play. And so it tries to produce the side shoots, and they're wimpy because it put all of its chips in that basket, and you cut it off, right? So when you think about it from that perspective, it makes sense. Broccoli's going to keep saying,
Yeah.
okay, my flowers keep getting removed. I'm going to keep trying to make them until you eventually end up killing it.
Yeah. So I'm pretty much harvesting broccoli. I could harvest every day if I want with side shoots. Cauliflower, I'm getting a couple a week at this point. Cabbages around the corner. My biggest failing this year, and I still haven't fixed it, is I've planted 0 carrots. I don't even know why.
That's
I don't
surprising.
have any reason.
Yeah.
I love carrots, especially grown over the winter. And now I'm actually kicking myself because I missed that sweet window where it
Yeah.
gets, well, it's not, there's still a little bit of cold weather left, but when you grow carrots over the winter, they just taste incredible.
They're way
more
better.
sweet, they're crunchier, they're crisper. So I do want to plant some more carrots. But the other things I have going is I've transplanted all my onions. My garlic looks great. My chard, my kale, all of those look really wonderful. It's pretty much just like the things I'm waiting for that spring is bringing are the fruiting plants.
Yes.
Like I do still have a cherry tomato. It's still producing. It still tastes good. I have a couple peppers in the greenhouse that I've harvested. So things are pretty good. The one thing that I'm really surprised by is that every year around this time, strawberries start doing really well.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's like a San Diego thing because I've always grown up with like summer strawberries or June bearing strawberries.
Well, yours are in the greenhouse, though.
Yeah, they're in the
So
greenhouse
that's why.
and they're ever bearing. So
Yeah,
I think it's
that's why.
like basically spring in the greenhouse right now.
Yeah, I think so.
Which
I
is
mean,
really fun.
I was saying yesterday on the Epic Homesteading channel that I put my green stock with strawberries
Yeah.
in the greenhouse, and I basically want to expect the harvest that you were getting because I was getting a little jealous of those. And then I went on a walk, and I think the biggest thing that you do that I don't do consistently is you leave your tomatoes over the winter almost every year. So
Yeah.
you still have hangers. You got them dangling,
Yeah.
swing low, sweet cherry.
No, I got those danglers out of there. And you know why they were there?
Why?
It's because I grew the mustard cover crop in that bed to your favorite word, the root knot nematode battle. I had to defeat them. So I was like, what am I going to do? Remove these tomatoes when I'm going cover crop anyway? So I just
what's
left
the
the
point?
tomatoes. They're above. They're not in the way of the cover crop. Left the cover crop down below. I was able to get a lot more tomatoes than I was expecting. Like you probably saw, there's 2 dozen.
Yeah, I would say
like,
about 20,
beefsteak
30.
tomatoes.
Yeah, they were big.
Yeah.
Was the flavor good, though?
Yes, it was okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't as good.
It was still a tomato, though.
Here's the thing: 10 times better than the grocery store. Still.
Still.
Because the grocery store tomato doesn't taste like anything.
Still. Yeah.
So it's easy to beat that one at least.
I'm with you on the carrots, not for lack of trying. Had some germ issues on
Well, it's
the
been
carrots.
dry.
It's just been so dry. It's been no rain throughout November and December at all, actually. I think maybe one sprinkle.
So I just saw the updated tally for San Diego. This is literally the driest October to January, July to January period in San Diego's history.
July to January.
Yeah.
Wow.
We've had 0.14 inches of rain
Yeah.
since July,
Yeah.
which is
It's
nothing.
No, it's
It's a rounding error.
a rounding error.
So,
It's basically like anyone else's random mist in a day in Portland,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's rough out here in terms of moisture.
Well, speaking of, we got those Malibu fires ripping
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
And I'm getting blasted even as we speak with the Santa Ana winds
Yeah.
coming at me and drying me out. So it's not all fun and games here in California. I know we like to tease and complain that we can't grow stuff, and everyone. I know you're listening.
Still wearing shorts,
and I'm wearing a jacket and pants, and then of course I'm wearing some sandals too. You know, those Cali boy sandals. But yeah, no man. So for me, with the fridge, this year, I don't even know if I said this last year, but I was saying on the homesteading channel, like, it was a challenging year for me last year, just in general. It was a hard year, and I'm hoping that it's less hard this year. And so I have to make some steps, though, to make that be the case. And so I want to focus on preserves, harvests, beauty in the garden like we did last year. I think we did a lot better job here at the
this
homestead.
flower patch has held all year.
All year.
Which is amazing to see. It's changing, it's dynamic.
I was just talking to Paul, who's one of our garden managers here on the team, and I was saying, just look for opportunities to plant more border plantings, because I'm never mad that that's there, even though it's taking growing space up, right? And so I was like, map out a couple areas where we could be adding some more of this
dedicated
stuff.
Space.
Yeah, and we have the new seed shakers, right? So I might just do the botanical interest seed shakers and shake it all in there. But it's the preserves. Now that I have the fridge, I have a place where I could say, harvest this broccoli. I could truly sit and process it, maybe listen to a podcast or something, truly store it correctly, instead of having to like rush donate it or give it away, right? Because I only have one fridge and I live in there and eat in there too. It's like too hard.
No, I think a second fridge, I've actually thought about this too. I know
chest freezer, right?
It sounds like kind of crazy. Yeah, I have a chest freezer, which has saved me for tomato season, because when you get overwhelmed, freezing tomatoes is really your best option in my opinion. But an actual just fridge for having preserves, for pickles, for like, let's say you harvest these beets, they will last for like 6 months in the fridge, but you don't want to take up all your actual fridge space.
No.
But we just can't pull off a cold like root cellar here in San Diego.
No.
But it does make me think of like some of those other plans that I have for my garden. Now that we are into this January period, it is the time to start thinking about those big projects that take time. The two biggest at the top of my mind is to rebuild my compost. I want a 3-bay compost system.
Oh, like the bin system itself.
For too long, I've just gone by with 2 bins. It's always been annoying because one fills up, the other one has finished compost, and I have nowhere to turn, nowhere to move stuff. So I'm going to rebuild that into a 3-bay. I'll definitely do a video on that. And then I also want to rebuild all my garden fences. Especially since I have dogs, I do fence off my entire garden area.
Yeah.
But one thing that I've never done is actually build a proper gate, which you've seen before.
Yes.
I have these like floppy...
I may have mentioned it once or twice.
Yeah, you may have mentioned it. I have these floppy sort of hardware cloth things that you just kind of flop on the ground. But I want some like real gates. And that goes towards making the garden beautiful. So that's definitely the big one.
You know, I think if you did that, like your front garden patch is so aesthetic as it is. If you added like some sort of wooden fence, even if it's simple, like maybe the one that's in the front of my house,
just
like
slats.
just a slatted
keep the
fence,
dogs out.
Keeps the dogs out, but it adds a nice, and maybe you chose like a nice sort of like rich light brown color or something. That could really hit.
Yeah.
That'd make it look really nice.
I think it would look great, and it would just feel more complete, like a more permanent thing, instead of just like even a fence just makes things feel like more thought out.
You know what it is? There's this
like
guy I know from Instagram, Hans Loray Design. He's an interior designer.
Okay.
But he talks about enclosure, and he says what makes a design inside the home is enclosure, like the lamp over the head underneath the couch.
I see.
Right? And you sit on it, you feel like I'm
You're
not just
space.
exposed. You know what I mean? And so I think defined borders. Obviously, I'm into that. You know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think it makes a big difference. The other thing I was going to say, man, is we talk a lot about garden plans, like, oh, I'm going to grow this, I'm not going to grow that.
Yeah.
But I do like the framing of each year. What is 1 to 3 big projects? How much time do you have, right? Like maybe 1, maybe 3. If you're, financially free or something, I guess maybe more than that. More than that. But so for me, I have 2 that are coming to mind. One is a complete Bermuda eradication in the front yard.
Boy.
Because the front yard, to me, the raised bed garden looks beautiful. The orchard, when it's growing at least, looks really nice. But it's just tarred and feathered by that damn Bermuda. It just looks so bad.
And we cleared it around the raised beds. But that big, thick section...
It just looks so bad. And so to me, that drags me down when I see it. I want to solve that. And then also, we talked about it last year, we never did it though, is the native hell strip.
Yeah.
70 by 8 feet though. So it's a lot to do. But if that was the only thing I did with the Bermuda, and like maybe landscaping that Bermuda area, maybe planting some more fruit trees or something, that sort of completes the look.
That would add so much to the space. Yeah. The native garden excites me a lot just because once we do get it in,
That's
It's
it.
chilling.
It's chill.
You basically don't have to do anything.
It's done.
Which is incredible.
Yeah, and it'll look so much like the curb appeal of the house.
Yeah.
Think about the curb appeal of removing the Bermuda and putting the...
Night and day.
It's like literally probably someone would buy the house for 50 G's more. Not that I'm selling. Don't even try.
Hey, don't even try.
No offers.
Yeah, a lot of times we've often been like, do we really want to film here? Because it looks like
That's
this
what
is
it
so
is.
bad.
Yeah, that's what it's frustrating.
But we'll work on it. We'll get it done.
Well, this is what I get frustrated about, man, is we live in a great climate to grow,
Yeah.
but we don't live in a great climate for like lighting and backdrops. And part of why I want to create a beautiful garden is for myself and for the education, but also I want everything we make to be timeless, right? I want it
Yeah.
to look good for years. Some of these videos we make, you guys been watching for years now.
Yeah.
And I always cringe when like there's a little
back, look at
bucket
an
in the
old one.
background or there's a this or there's a that. And then I look at someone growing in the UK and I'm like,
yeah, like crisp,
green everywhere, the
Green,
beautiful
no
lighting, the
brown.
this and that, no
Yeah.
brown, no,
harsh sun.
telephone pole. But it is what it is. And I think it's definitely what it is. It's definitely relatable.
My
but
take is I'll always choose to live in San Diego.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I think it's worth it.
I might have to have a
little satellite.
little satellite office somewhere that's maybe a little bit different. But
Yeah, I did get a lot of the, like in terms of those major projects, I have the shed in, I have the greenhouse in last year.
Yeah.
So I've done I think the biggest things are done. Mm-hmm. So I think I already have pathways basically.
And your
If
place
I work
is-
on the fence
yeah.
and if I work on a water feature, those are the two things that I have top of mind. And that's pretty much it.
I think
the rest
that-
is just working on the garden itself.
Yeah, I think those would be. I mean, your place looks night and day having the shed.
Oh, yeah.
And the greenhouse because it kind of forced some of the
Yeah.
order to be made.
Absolutely.
Which is great. I think for me it's kind of similar because this is like where everything comes in, right? Like
Yeah.
packages and this and that. So it's just making sure that there's outflow and stuff just isn't kind of laying around. Like I see a random marble pillar over there. I don't
It's
know
been
wh-
here forever.
I don't know why it's. You know what it is? I took it from my old place, so it's kind of
Okay.
like a memento.
Well, then we got to keep that marble
But it doesn't need to not
have
you
to
know,
be
it doesn't
randomly
need to
there.
be right there. No, like I guess my third big project would be outdoor lighting.
Oh,
we did
yeah.
like barely a sprinkle of hardwired outdoor lighting on timers, but now I realize, especially in the winter months when you're already cooped up, I want to be able to come out and enjoy, but it's pitch black at 5:30, right? And those little lights down there, they don't do anything. And the
just like
pond
the
lighting is
pathway.
out right now, and so I was like, man, I need to come up with a lighting solution and see if I can just like bring a little bit more life here. Because let's say I want to have you guys over.
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah,
You
I know. It sucks when people come over at night and you can't really show them the garden.
Yeah.
Even if it's just something you could turn on and off and not leave all the time. Like I got those Hoselink solar lights around my garden, which is really nice at night. It doesn't illuminate everything, but it adds a lot of ambiance.
Yeah.
I think the last thing that both of us have been talking about doing and have never done, because we're just so bad about it, is to actually plan the garden.
Oh, I got something to say
That's a
here.
big one.
I got something to say.
Okay.
Well, what do you have? Are you going to plan it?
I'm going to actually try to plan it.
Okay.
Not the whole thing, because I can't commit.
What's your
the
method?
garden's grown too big. I think the method is something that has been a long time coming.
Yeah.
Which is, I used to do pen and paper, but it's just too frustrating to have to redraw every time and when you make changes.
Yeah.
And I've tried a lot of the online planners. We both tried a lot of online planners.
Everyone, pretty much.
But now we found the one.
yes.
So I'll let you explain that.
So it's
We've
been
been playing both of us have been playing with it a lot, and I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, so it's been a long time coming. We've tried a lot of planners out, and honestly, a lot of them are good, but like maybe it's just not the way your brain works.
Yeah.
This one is the way
A gardener's brain.
a true gardener's brain works. Because it does. If you think, does it do that? It does.
Yeah.
Right. So it's the Epic Garden Planner.
Yeah.
And
Very exciting.
what you can do is you can go online, you can get a free trial of it. It's not very expensive even when the paid plan kicks in.
Yeah.
This is, to me, the coolest part's threefold. Number one, you can plan in imperial or metric to the inch every single feature in the garden, down to pathways, down to, if you have our products like Birdie's Beds or something, you can literally drop in the exact bed and dimension you have and change those dimensions. If you just have normal, wooden raised beds that you've built or something, you can put those dimensions in as well and place it exactly where it is in your physical space.
Yeah. And it's not stuck on a grid. Like you could draw curved lines if your garden's rounded.
You can drag it, drop it.
Really quite fun.
Yeah. And so number one, you can get a literal perfect to scale version of the garden. So that's step number one. That's hard for people to do.
And I think a lot of people will also appreciate to see our gardens planned out.
Yeah.
So that means we have to really do it.
Yeah, I'm going to share some screenshots of the garden for sure because there's a lot to do. I have the front yard done, the raised beds done, but I don't have the rest. I don't have the orchard or anything.
Yeah.
But two more things. Secondly, you can put I think maybe over 800 crops, maybe 1,000 crops in the beds or in the rows if it's in ground, trees, etc. And it will then compile exactly what you planted, when you should plant it, when you should harvest it, the growing season. Let's just say for some reason it's fall and you put a frost cover on top of your bed that has beets in it. It will automatically extend that period on the planting timetable.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
No, when I started playing with those things, I was like, this was actually made by a gardener.
Yes.
And not only that, but when you put all your plants in, which, by the way, you could put varieties.
Yeah.
Not just like beets, but you could put like
Bull's
blood beet.
Bull's blood, yeah.
And the thing that's really cool is that you'll get the full calendar view for your zone that you put in.
Yeah.
It'll tell you all the months. It'll have little charts with windows. Color-coded, harvest time, when is succession. Like all the little things that are in the back of your mind that you have to keep pulling up. You could just pre-plan.
Yeah.
So I'm super stoked about that.
Okay, this is the pièce de résistance. This is the finishing move, like in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Finish him. So, if the stuff that you add to the garden, varieties-wise, is a variety that we offer at Botanical Interest or Epic Gardening, and if even the hard good products, like if you've put Birdie's beds in the garden or if you've put some of the other products that we sell, like a grow bag or whatever, if that's on the plan and you go to the shopping tab on the plan, it will add all of it to a cart for you, or whatever you want to add to a cart for you. And in one click, you go over to the store and exactly what's in your garden, seeds, products, whatever, can be added directly to the cart and checked out. So it's good if, like, let's say you're like, I don't care about their beds, I just have the garden.
Yeah.
You can still plant an entire garden season's worth of seeds right there.
Yeah.
And for me, it's the visual component that helps, because I go, oh wait, I don't actually need that much lettuce because I have this much over here. There's crazy little features, like, let's say I was doing the saffron bed that I have up front, right? Which is a 3x6 Birdie's bed with 45 saffron. So I was like, okay, it does have saffron. It has a saffron crocus, but I didn't want to drag and drop 45.
Yep.
So I can drag it out, and it plants them at the recommended spacing. And so I dragged it out until it was about 45, and I was like, great, there I go. Now the app knows there's 45 in that bed, right? And so I think we have a bug in it right now where one onion will equal one packet of seed, but we're fixing it soon where that, let's say you plant 100 onions, it will divide that into the average packets per seed and tell you to buy that many packets.
That's nice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think I'll leave it there. We'll put a link in the podcast description, but it's gardenplanner.epicgardening.com. And you can try it out. Jacques and I will probably do a video soon on like our actual
because
gardens.
I've always wanted to try a planner, and I've just always been frustrated by the shortcomings. And this is the only one where, like, truly, like, this has taken years.
It's crazy. Like, it's crazy.
Everything that I thought would be missing is actually there.
Yeah.
So
you
I don't
can
have
add
an excuse
trellises,
anymore.
you can add water features, you can add trees, whatever.
So
we'll leave it there. It's going to be a good year.
Yeah.
I'm getting roasted by the sun, so we'll call it there right now, guys. Thanks for listening. Subscribe and tell a friend. If they're into gardening this year, tell them about the Beet podcast and Epic Gardening, and we will bless you with 20% bigger harvest this year and 70% larger broccoli, if you know what I'm saying.
That's big stuff.
So I'll see you on the next one. Good luck in the garden and keep on grinding.